Hi, this is Korrupt, and I am doing this piece for Domdos. It's been a while since I've done anything, including a video blog. I'm doing this. This is mostly a tutorial because it's a subject or activity that when I very first started out as a Dom, got very stuck on. And this is the subject of humiliation, verbal humiliation, or, expressing yourself in a scene. Um, it, like, truth be told, and I think we all know this, a lot of women get stuck on this subject. They're like, I could do the activities, but my verbal skills are very weak, or, they can't seem, it won't come out. They're like, well, when I first started out as a Dom at 19 years old, it was funny because looking back, I was so frustrated because here I was young, and I was like, yeah, I felt dominant, I was dominant, it's something that I wanted to do. But when it came to, like, having a sub right in front of my face, and I was supposed to humiliate them or talk down to them or whatever, I couldn't bring myself to do it. And it was funny because in my normal life, I was kind of I had a bit of a reputation for being a hard ass and a big mouth and all that other stuff. Like, oh, she speaks her mind, or the shit that comes out of Coral's mouth, like, that kind of deal. So the fact that I was coming short in my sessions and I couldn't let it out, frustrated me to no end, and I couldn't figure out why. And it did take me a considerable amount of time to figure out why, because let's face it, 19-year-olds are not always a bastion of knowledge. They can't always figure out why, like, okay, this isn't working for me. They can't always figure it out overnight. It's something, oh yeah, that was it. Like, down the road, you're like, duh, that's what my problem was. My problem, and I'm sure it's a lot of other people's problem, is that here you are, you have somebody in front of you that you're supposed to humiliate, or you're supposed to unleash your inner bitch, and you're not angry at them. And that's what my problem was. I wasn't angry at these people. In reality, they didn't really do anything wrong to me. And as a matter of fact, they're doing something nice. They were paying me. So it was very hard for me to kind of wrap my head around humiliating them, or degrading them. It's like, oh, but I'm not mad. If I was mad at this guy, God, I'd be slicing him into him like crazy. But hey, not mad. I think I got the point across with that statement like 5 times, but whatever. So how do you get over the whole, like, I'm not mad at this person, they never did anything wrong to me, whatever, or I can't, it just won't come out, I can't be verbal, or I suck at it. This whole, my advice in my little tutorial here may not work for everybody, but if it can work for like a handful of people, that's great, because I do have knowledge and experience, and I like to share it because I know what it's like to be in that position. The first thing to do, whether you have a submissive in front of you, or on the phone or on cam, is, if you're not legitimately mad at them, or you're having a hard time figuring out how to humiliate them, the best thing that you could do is to kind of turn it into a joke, a game. If you have any kind of sense of humor, you should be able to do this. So, like when you're at the pool and you whack your friend with the towel, you're not mad at that friend that you're whacking with the towel, or, you play a little prank on someone. You're not pissed off at them. You're just kind of goofing off. Oh, I think that my video camera screwed up for a second there, but whatever, I'm still doing this anyway. So just kind of like redirect your mind, redirect your thoughts. You got to shift your thoughts of, oh my gosh, I'm in front of this person and I'm not mad at them, and I have to humiliate them and talk down to them and be angry or whatever. You got to shift from that into like joke mode. I'm playing a prank. I'm just being naughty. I'm being a brat. I'm being a bitch. Ha ha ha, I'm just gonna, like, throw a spitball at your head or whatever. That kind of mindset. Once you can get into that mindset and you have this guy in front of you or whatever, it'll be able to flow a little better. And then eventually you'll be able to get around to, it'll just come naturally. In some people, it doesn't come naturally. It's very hard for them to be verbal. It's very hard for, or even be good at it. And you want to work with what feels natural to you. If you do everything you can to make it come out and it's still not coming out and you just don't have it in you because, you know, how you are as a Dom, how strong something is, you come across with something, like, let's just say, if in your normal life you're very timid and like a kind of a passive individual, it's going to be very hard for you to be a raging bitch, um, you know, in front of someone. So you want to work with your natural attitude, and you kind of like do mental checks, like go back, okay, when I'm in this situation, like, okay, if I'm upset about something, or if I'm joking around, or if I'm like goofing around, you know, what do I do? How do I come across? Like, what do I say? Like, you kind of want to get yourself in that vibe. So, or, you know, maybe you're not much of a humiliatrix. Maybe you're more of a seductress. And if you are if you are naturally more of a seductress than a humiliatrix, then use that to your advantage. Or if you're more of an intellectual Dom as opposed to a freaking sailor mouth like myself, then I mean, I'm an intellectual sailor mouth, but you know, there's that. I don't even feel like getting into that right now. But yeah, you use your personal strong points to your advantage, and things will flow naturally. This kind of comes across this could come across in a lot of ways. I don't even know if I picked the right choice of words, but whatever. Like, let's just say, in your normal life, you're kind of like the kinky naughty girl, or, you know, the passive shy girl, or whatever. That can actually work in your advantage as a Dom when you're dominating men, because you don't need to be angry or mean or nasty to, you know, get people to bend to your will. So, you know, that's another big tip that I gotta, you know, put out there for people, is be your natural self. And yes, it does help to kind of like nose around at other people's stuff and see like what works, and okay, I'm learning stuff. But if you are too much of a carbon copy of whoever you're being mentored by or your peers, then there's nothing that's going to stand out about you. And it's very important to have something about you be unique and stand out. And we're not talking like, oh, hair color, or, oh, I'm the goddess, or no, you're not the only one out there. So you got to have something unique. So look at everyone else only to see what your own personal strengths and weaknesses are, and kind of build on that, as opposed to look at everyone else to take their ideas and run with them. Because there's only so much of that you could do before you just start looking like McDonald's. And nobody wants to be a McDonald's. Everybody wants to be like a 5-star meal, right? So you got to work with your natural self. And if you notice that somebody has something unique about them that is working for them, like, I'm the nose goddess, people worship my nose, or something retarded like that, that doesn't mean that you have to be the next nose goddess. Somebody else, you know what I mean? Like, that, it just makes you look cheap. So you got to figure out ways to not look cheap. And like, just another one, or blending in with the crowd. You don't want to blend in. So if you don't want to blend in, you got to be yourself, and you got to kind of like have a little twist, like, tap into that creative side of yourself and kind of, you know, see what bubbles up. This doesn't always happen overnight either. Sometimes it's an epiphany that comes out of nowhere. So you got to constantly strive to outdo yourself and not other people. That is my biggest piece of advice, is to really try harder than anything to outdo yourself. Because if you're not trying to outdo yourself, and you're just trying to outdo everyone else around you and try to be better than them, or try to do something that they do but better, it doesn't really work. Some of the top people in the scene, whether they be live doms, phone doms, session doms, everyone else, you know, like the top people, they kind of have their own thing going for them, and everybody else that's kind of tried to rip off of them just looks cheap, and nobody wants to be the cheap dom. The most successful ones have their own flair. So what works for you? Okay, you're the bookworm, or you're the, you know, knows God as God. I come up with the most ridiculous bullshit, but whatever. But like I said, you gotta have that flair. And another thing that helps when, especially when it comes to verbal humiliation and coming across, bringing out that inner Dom goddess, is sometimes a new piece of clothing or putting on that outfit or something that'll make you feel more like rambunctious inside, like it'll help draw it out of you. Because while it is possible to, feel extra dominant by wearing that sweater in the blue jeans and all that other stuff, sometimes it takes like changing things up from the norm and putting on something that makes you feel different. Like not necessarily feel different than who you really are, but makes you feel different. Like, ooh, this outfit or, whatever, or this thing that I have is making me feel like, more inspired. So do things that'll inspire you. And, like I said, when it comes to verbal humiliation, just look at it as a game. Look at it as a game at first, and then all of a sudden it'll all fall into place, and the floodgates will open, and you're just going to be a freaking, it's just going to come out perfectly. And if it doesn't, it's okay. Work with who you are. That is the most important. Be yourself. So that is my kind of like humiliation, domination 101 of the day. And I am going to be doing pieces similar to this in the future because, hey, my strong point has definitely been, verbal expression and stuff like that, whether it be in a nasty, crazy kind of bitchy way, like in my videos and in sessions, so I figure, why not share it with the rest of the world? And don't be afraid to share or ask other people whose opinions that you trust, because they can and may and will help you if you are trustworthy. But anyway, everybody have a wonderful day. Sayonara until next time.